There's a kind of silence that doesn't bring peace. It's not the peaceful quiet of a still morning or the hush of snowfall. It's the silence that echoes in your chest when you're hurting. When you're praying and no answers seem to come. When everyone else seems to move on with life. And you're just trying to breathe. Have you ever been there? Have you ever felt unseen, even by God? You're not the only one. You're not broken for feeling this way. In fact, the Bible is full of people who cried out to heaven and heard silence. But that silence doesn't mean absence. It never has. Psalm 34:18 says, "The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit." That means He's not just close when you feel strong. He's closest when you feel shattered. We live in a world where emotions define everything. We say things like, "I feel good," "I feel loved," or "I feel forgotten." But God's presence is not dictated by our feelings. His faithfulness doesn't rise and fall with our moods. Hebrews 13:5 gives us a truth we can anchor our souls to. Never will I leave you, never will I forsake you. Not when you doubt, not when you struggle, not even when you've made a mess of everything. Psalm 23:4 reminds us, "Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me." Notice it doesn't say we avoid the valley. It says we walk through it, and not alone. God is there in the dark places, not as a distant observer, but as a close and present shepherd. Do you remember Elijah? He had just faced down the prophets of Baal. Fire from heaven, a miracle on display. And yet, right after that victory, he fled. He ran into the wilderness, afraid, exhausted, suicidal. He collapsed beneath a broom tree and begged God to let him die. But God didn't scold him. He didn't lecture Elijah on faith or strength. He sent an angel to touch him. He provided food and rest. Then God spoke, not in wind, not in earthquake, not in fire, but in a gentle whisper. 1 Kings 19:12 says, "After the fire came a gentle whisper." When you feel too fragile to keep going, God isn't looking for your strength. He's offering His. He knows your limits. He knows your breaking point, and He speaks in whispers because He's close enough to do so. There may be no lonelier cry than the one Jesus gave on the cross. My God, why have you forsaken me?" Matthew 27:46. The Son of God felt the agony of abandonment, not just physically, spiritually. He took on every ounce of our sin and separation, so that you would never have to face it alone again. That moment of silence on the cross was the loudest declaration of love. Jesus was abandoned, so you would never be. And just before He ascended into heaven, He made a vow. "Surely I am with you always, even to the very end of the age." Matthew 28:20. Not sometimes, not when you have it all together, always. We think of God in terms of miracles. We expect Him in the parting sea, the thunder from Sinai, the fire from the sky. But what about the quiet Wednesday afternoons? What about the crying in the bathroom stall? The silent ride home after a funeral? The late night when you're wide awake wondering what happened to your life? Isaiah 40:29 says, "He gives strength to the weary and increases the power of the weak." God is in the ordinary. He is in the breaking of bread, in the folding of laundry, in the steady inhale and exhale of a tired soul just trying to get through the day. The Spirit of God does not wait for a stage or spotlight. He steps into the small, forgotten corners of your life, and He says, "I see you, I am here." Let's be honest. Life can be brutal. There are losses that shake you to the core. There are seasons that feel like wandering in a wilderness with no map. And yet, God's presence doesn't promise a detour around pain. It promises companionship through it. Psalm 139:7-10 asks, "Where can I go from your spirit? Where can I flee from your presence? If I rise on the wings of the dawn, if I settle on the far side of the sea, even there your hand will guide me. Your right hand will hold me fast." There is no place too far, no moment too dark, no feeling too deep, where God's presence cannot reach. When God is with you, shame loses its voice, fear loses its grip, loneliness loses its power. Because you are not just surviving, you are held. What about the days when the silence feels unbearable? When the prayers feel cold? When all you have left is questions? That's when you cling, not to how you feel, but to what God has said. Deuteronomy 31:6 reminds us, "Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or terrified, for the Lord your God goes with you. He will never leave you nor forsake you." When your emotions betray you, let His promises hold you. When your strength fades, lean on His. When your heart is heavy, remember, even when you can't feel Him, He's closer than your next breath. If today your world feels dim, if the silence is louder than comfort, if you wonder whether God even sees you anymore, let this truth take root in your soul. You are not alone. You never have been. You never will be. Not because life is perfect, not because you always feel spiritual, but because your God is a God who comes close. He doesn't wait for you to climb up to Him. He came down to you. He walked in our shoes. He cried our tears. He bore our pain. And today, He walks beside you. Right now, in this very moment, He sees, He knows, He stays. You're never alone.